All right, we're here at Chalk It Up. My name is Zachary Cox. I am a personal trainer and powerlifting coach at Chalk It Up Strength in Cotati, California. We're here. We're just trying to get something started. Want to talk about, the world of powerlifting, strength training, personal training, whatever it may be. We're just trying to get knowledge out there, get people to kind of get motivated, and see where this kind of takes us. A little bit about myself, a little background. I've been powerlifting for about 2 years now, a little shy of that. Done some local meets, nothing too major, but just very focused on my training, very focused on learning the craft of being a personal trainer and helping people out. Got a lot of good help from my two colleagues sitting next to me. We got Rob and we got Edward. If you guys want to introduce yourselves.
You go first.
My name is Edward. I'm one of the coaches here at Chalk It Up, and I also do remote coaching, and I've been powerlifting for running on 6 years now, I think. And I like to powerlift. It's my thing, and I like to apply all my knowledge in the direction of powerlifting.
Perfect. My name's Rob. I am one of the coaches here as well as the owner of Chalk It Up. I have these nice gentlemen to work with every day, so that's lovely. I do powerlifting coaching, also play rugby, so I kind of mix both, which is a little hard to do, but we make it work. So where are we going from here? We're talking about mindset and mindset in training, mindset in competitions, and then mindset in balancing, life and work and family, as well as trying to lift all the time.
And Zach touched on this a little bit in the intro, but the motivation, or one of the motivations for this, was just whenever we're training, whenever we're together here at the gym, we tend to have some pretty good conversations that have content in them that we think more people could benefit from hearing, as it's refreshing the level of discussion that happens at this gym, and it tends to be isolated in this little bubble whenever we're training together. And there are other people who lift here, who lift at other hours of the day when we're not here, and we think that them and everyone else and people who are interested in strength training, powerlifting, getting better more sustainably could benefit from hearing these conversations.
Absolutely. Essentially what we want to do with this first episode, talk about mindset a little bit in a couple different areas. But essentially we just want everyone to feel as comfortable as possible in the gym, thinking about the gym, confident in what they're doing, what their plan is, and if they're not, we want to give them some context on how to improve that. First thing kind of want to talk about, just basic mindset of getting into the gym, I think would be a good one. We just had the new year, so we had that coming along, and always after the new year, there's this influx of people trying to get into a gym, whether it's a small gym, family-owned gym, or a big 24-hour fitness, something along those lines. You're gonna have that influx for about 3 to 4 weeks, and then it's gonna die off really hard again. And our goal is to keep people motivated enough to where, if it is a New Year's resolution, or it just happens to be the time where you're getting into the gym, we want you to stay in the gym longer and stay motivated longer.
I would say a big part of that is having a direction and feeling comfortable in the lifts, because a lot of join and then kind of fade out people or members is, I don't know, I see a lot of it in that. Their mindset is I'm going to do this, I'm going to make a change, and they come in and they feel a little insecure, they feel a little not confident in the movement, so they don't do it, and then they kind of fade out pretty quick. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Absolutely. And that motivation, it's very temporary, and when it hits, you're going to feel like you want to come in, hit it hard, but if you don't have those habits in place from sessions of good practice and good training with good technique and good habits, and you don't have the social support, you don't have an environment where you feel comfortable, you don't have people to hold you more accountable when that motivation goes down, and you don't have accountability. The main thing is you don't have accountability, and one of the practical things that we've done here at Chalk It Up is having beginner powerlifting classes and intermediate powerlifting classes, and those things have those built in. You come in twice a week, you learn the fundamentals of powerlifting, the fundamentals of squatting, benching, deadlifting. You hang out with other people, you make friends, so you can all train together and you don't feel like you're alone learning this new skill and feeling awkward together and just sort of doing that by yourself. And it's like, when you're learning a new skill and it feels awkward and you're by yourself, you don't want to come back, because nobody wants to feel alienated or isolated and awkward and clumsy and like there's some kind of goon. But when you have people there who are doing it too, and you have an instructor letting you know that, it's all right if when you're squatting, some of the reps don't feel too good. And if you're benching, if your bar path gets a little bit off, it's all right, so long as you understand the fundamentals and you can rein it back in. And the point of all that is to like act as this source or this authority that can combat just our instant urge to, my technique feels off. YouTube, fucking Google, what's wrong with my technique and all this? And go to Instagram, go to my favorite lifter with the worst technique and go to that person for information. But instead, we have it here, we have classes, and we have environments and communities where we all sort of have this shared common language in understanding the fundamentals of lifting.
Definitely. Absolutely. Can we take a break here?
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right, welcome back. Sorry, change of scenery. We had to move into the little office we got here. We started filming out there and the gym was empty, and now it's full, and we have to, make sure we can still run the business. So let's pick it back up in here.
Absolutely. We want to make this feel as organic as possible. We are doing this while we are running a business and while we are working out and doing other things. I think to add to what Edward ended up saying at the last part of that, I think part of the knowledge of like knowing what your body's capable of and knowing how your body likes to work. You're going to watch all these people on Instagram who have crazy form or, just a crazy way that they lift compared to, what you may learn in a gym, whether it be a 24-hour fitness or something like this. There's always going to be differences that people talk about and, the knee tracking over their toes in a squat or something like that. And I think giving the knowledge or learning the knowledge about how your body works to keep you away from injury is a huge thing. And the more you can understand about lifting, the lifts itself, how your body moves with those lifts, and finding that comfortability is going to be a huge part of what helps keep you in the gym longer.
That's I would say that's a big part of all of the mindsets around more beginners. We can take it more to more advanced athletes now, people who've been training longer.
Maybe just one more minute on the beginning.
You have somebody else?
I think especially now compared to even a couple years ago, there's so much information out there, so much really good information, but at the same time, so much more bad information that beginners, they look up how do I squat, and they're bombarded with so much information, and they don't know where to begin, nor do they have the filter to understand like which information is applicable to them, because they might see a video of Larry Wheels squatting, and it's like, the way that Larry Wheels squats is not how beginners should squat. However, when beginner looks up squatting, the most popular person is Larry Wheels.
Absolutely.
And beginners don't have the filter to understand that. So one of the things that makes a person feel like they have a weak mindset or they feel mentally weak coming into the gym is they don't feel confident because they just have too many options. And if we can limit the number of options that they have when they come to the gym so that we can take their focus and fine tune it to when we squat, we focus on tripod foot, mid foot, knee tracking, breathing and bracing instead of, oh, my IT band hurts, or, oh, I better not focus on knee valgus, or, oh, I'm going to good morning my squat. If we can really help them focus on the big rocks of lifting, their fundamentals, then that is the starting point for them building their confidence in the gym.
And that's very much bringing it back to the basics. It's kind of the same thing. We put that over in rugby. If you can't catch and pass and move the ball across your body and do these things, there's no point in doing some trick play where you throw the ball behind your back 30 yards. It's the same thing. Get really, really good at the fundamentals, and then we build.
Yeah. There's always time for, technique as time goes on to evolve and things to change here and there, but as long as you keep that fine basics and those fundamentals strong, everything will be able to move more comfortably as you move up and change things.
Yeah. And to tie it back to the original thing, like the motivation that a person has during New Year's, that goes up and down and up and down. And the thing that we can rely on when motivation is waning and we don't have much of it is we can rely on our technique, we can rely on our habits. And that's what the fundamentals are supposed to provide.
Absolutely. Build really good habits so when that motivation is low on those days where you work long hours, you can still come and do because you have very good habits.
Instead of sort of relying on, oh, I'm going to listen to the Rocky IV soundtrack, this is what's going to get me through my training, not me focusing on my technique. I don't really believe in technique.
Or just the strength of your muscles. I mean, we all have the strength to lift what we're capable of, but we take a week off, go on vacation. You're still going to have the strength. You're not going to lose any of that muscle or anything. It may feel a little foreign, but your technique is going to be the part that really feels foreign. And technique needs to constantly be worked on.
So now bringing it to mindset of more advanced lifters, I think, or we can just, talk about everybody's mindset at that point. It's the mindset that, this lifting is relatively hard, right? It's challenging. It's something that you do every day, building to get stronger. And we all have lives outside of this. And at no point in this are we saying like, you have to do the gym and you get paid for the gym and then you go home. And if you do, congratulations, that's awesome. Otherwise, you have jobs and family and stress outside and all these other things. So having a mindset in the gym is a huge part of training and your training going well. So where do you guys want to start with that?
So perhaps the first thing we can start with is in other sports, we have professional athletes. We don't have professional powerlifters. So everyone who powerlifts, it does it as a hobby, and they do it out of their free will. So I want to go somewhere from there.
I think that's part of what makes it, one of the toughest things too. Yeah, you're going to be lifting a lot of weight, and you're putting a lot of strain on your body. Comparatively to other sports, it's just pure weight that you're kind of dealing with. Football is a lot of agility. Other people, you have different sources, coming at you, other stimuluses, stimuli. Correction. With powerlifting, it's just you, your bones, your ligaments, your muscle, and the bar itself, and that's all you have. So it takes a lot to stay focused to really improve on something that may seem so simple. I'm going to pick up some weight, lift it, put it back down, but the different aspects that there are with it, the technique and the breathing and the training correctly so that your volume isn't too aggressive and you're not overworking yourself throughout the week. I don't think people understand or realize the severity of not overtraining yourself. And to kind of go on from there, I consider myself more of a beginner intermediate athlete in my personal lifting career, and I take a lot of pride in one, being consistent. Consistency, I think, beats perfection every single time. And also consistency is going to beat out talent eventually when talent doesn't work. So my main goals as a beginner intermediate lifter, still working on technique very aggressively. Weights are getting up there, to the more challenging part where every single pound that I want is really hard to come by. And all the outside things that you do outside of the gym and things in the gym make a big difference. So just being focused on understanding that it's not just the work you put in the gym, it's the work you do outside of the gym as well.
And coming into the gym, with a good mindset. I was taught by kind of my powerlifting mentor, his name's Carlos. Some of you met him, some of you might not. Just how important that mindset and your mind is when it comes to lifting or strength training. That coming in the gym with a good attitude and putting your mind to the work at hand and things like that is very, very important. And he taught me, like, worrying about how much gas you have in your tank or how much money in your bank account and all these outside stresses. If you're worrying about those things while you're warming up for your, heavy triple on squats, there's nothing you can do about those outside factors at that moment in time. But what you should be focusing on is the task at hand, which is the lift you're about to perform. And so your energy mentally needs to go towards those things. If you're only focused on things outside the gym and things like that, either you need to learn how to turn that off when you come in the gym and focus on your lifting, or you need to take the time in your life to fix those things outside of the gym first and bring some of those stresses outside of the gym down before you come in and really, really, really focus on hard training and trying to get better.
Yeah, and I think it could be valuable for us to talk about this from the perspective of our own training. So I'll talk about my own training here for now. In the past, I would come into squat sessions just knowing that, oh, after I do these low bar squats, these competition squats, my adductors are going to get really tight and my low back's going to be tight, and I'm going to feel like I'm walking like an old person for the rest of the week. And so I would just come into my training sessions feeling like, oh, this is going to suck. I just have to get through it, grit my teeth, get it done. And that's doable when you train in your backyard by yourself. But when you train around other people, you train around athletes that you coach, you train around your teammates, and you have this sort of attitude that's just oozing out of you, and you train around other people, they'll pick up on that. And if they know that, oh, this person, he's like, he's kind of dreading coming into training, coming into squat every single time, maybe I don't want to talk to him, maybe I'm going to put up my shield and be a little standoffish, and then that takes away from the welcoming, warm environment that we've been trying to make here. And so that's a valid way to train if you're training by yourself all year round. But if you are part of a community, if you're part of a team, that attitude is infectious. And so for me, my way of rectifying that was, well, first off, why was I feeling like that? It's because you feel like you understand the technique of powerlifting, but it's like your knowledge is inadequate, and you can't, like with your current knowledge, make it so that my adductors don't stop hurting after I squat, or my low back doesn't stop hurting after I squat. And so really what it was I didn't understand squatting well enough. And then and at this point I had been practicing breathing and bracing after learning it at Juggernaut for X amount of years. And then after that, I really revisited those fundamentals of breathing and bracing, and it's like, oh, my adductor doesn't hurt as much anymore. Oh, I could feel my glutes. I don't feel my low back as tight. And then last year when Ray Williams came and he hosted his powerlifting seminar here, that was like the first time I really understood getting my back tight in the squat. And I consider myself as someone who's more of an intermediate advanced lifter. And even for me, like the first time I learned how to really get my back tight was at Juggernaut. Chad showing us elbows together, elbows in. But it wasn't until years later when Ray was here talking about pulling the bar into your back that it really made sense to me. And now today, like this training cycle is the most confident I've ever been in my squat because I understand those fundamentals and I've practiced them, and now my squat feels more comfortable and adductors don't get tight, low back doesn't get tight. But like in that time when my adductors were feeling really tight, it's like you feel like you don't have an answer. So your way of getting through is just gritting your teeth and sort of relying on emotion instead of technique.
Absolutely. I can relate to that. Ray definitely helped me with the back tightness thing and pulling the bar in. And it actually, side effect, ended up taking a lot of pressure off of my my tendonitis or forearm hurting in the squat or after the squat. Yeah. So that helped me a lot with him.
Yeah, and like I said, with me being more of a beginner intermediate athlete, I'm still really, really working on the basics. And there's things that, I may understand the information about and understand how to do them and teach them because I'm a personal trainer as well. But until I train my body and my muscles to kind of get in those positions and feel those things and get it the right way, it just takes repetition and repetition. And sometimes it'll take another, I may understand it. It may take 6 months for me to go, wow, okay, I get it now, and it feels comfortable and it feels right. An example being like, just as a client that I have in here, we were talking about breathing and bracing, which I have them do every session beforehand, just so that they practice that and understand it. And she was very, very good at it in the drills that we were doing that were just the breathing and bracing, but I noticed it wasn't as comfortable when there was, a load on her back or doing dumbbell work. And I was able to explain it to her, and we've been training together for about 6 months now. And just about 2 months ago, she realized, well, keeping the ribs down and keeping your core tight while you're doing your motions. And it just clicked one day, and she was like, wow, I felt that. And that was one, super satisfactory for me that they had finally picked that up. But it just shows that there may be a gap in between understanding it, mentally and putting that to a physical standpoint.
And so, mindset being a big thing, especially like everyone was saying, when you're part of a team or you train in an environment where there's a lot of people around, what you put off, it's going to be all throughout the gym. So if we have just people always, saying this hurts or that hurts, or their mindset, I would say more, their mindset when they come in the gym is like, well, I had, I didn't sleep too well last night, or I had work all day today and it's Monday. So like, I know my training's going to be shitty today. And then they come in the gym and like, what do you expect the training is going to be if you had that mindset from 8 o'clock when you got to work until 5 o'clock when you're coming into the gym? You've been thinking about it all day long, saying your training is going to be bad or it's going to be shitty today or there's something there.
Like you have every excuse in your back pocket to justify why the training session inevitably goes shittily. However, if conversely, if you just come into the session thinking, oh, this stuff feels kind of rough, but I'm pretty sure my technique's going to get me through this session. Having that mindset, shifting it from that negative to more of a neutral or even a more positive mindset, just lets you focus on the things that you can control and not emphasize the things that are outside of your control.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we all have these outside stresses, so that's something all of us can relate to. We all have lives outside of the gym. We have work. We have these things. But not always walking around with that negative mindset of things are going to go bad because of that. Like there are optimal things where we get all the sleep and we do all the eating, we do these things, and that is great. That's not always ideal. And I think a big part of, I would call it like the lifting roller coaster. We all have the days we come in and everything feels super light, and then there's days where everything feels super heavy, and that's just how it goes. I mean, I've had some of my best lifting sessions off of 3 hours sleep the night before and a no eating or one protein bar, and I've had some of my worst off 8 hours sleep and a full meal. So it's just part of the lifting, but focusing on the things you can control, like Edward's saying, like come in, stuff's a little bad, stuff feels a little heavy, whatever it may be. I know I can get through this because my technique is going to hold up, and I'm going to focus on those things, and then moving through the training, getting your lifting done, doing all the things you need to do. I bet by the time that's all done, if you walk into it with that mindset, as you're walking out of the gym, you're going to feel a lot less stressed. Not everything's going to be shitty or feel shitty.
And even if it doesn't feel that good at the end of the session, at least you gave yourself the chance for that to happen. Whereas if you're coming in thinking, oh, my squats are going to suck, then there's no chance for your squats to feel good by the end.
We want you to come in and lift hard and understand what you're doing and feel confident, but we also want you to have fun. Lifting and having fun is really important. You don't want it to feel like another job or a 2-hour job that you did after your day, and we want it to be fun and you to make friends and feel more comfortable.
And then for our powerlifters out there, mindset for the platform, that's going to be different for every single person. For me, I was taught, coming into a meet scenario, you need to be confident. You need to step onto the platform knowing that you're going to get the numbers that you're choosing because you put in X amount of week of training, X amount of heavy doubles, X amount of these volume blocks or this volume block to get that number. So when you step on that platform, you can look back and say, very confidently, mentally, I know I have this number because I put in all the weeks of training for it. So mindset for the platform for me is that. I step on it and I know that I'm going to get this already because I've already put in all the hard work. This is just a single. This is no problem.
How quickly do we have to wrap up? How much more time do you have?
1 minute.
Okay.
Finish in a minute.
Okay.
Concluding thoughts. Concluding thoughts. Go.
So concluding thoughts, the moral of the story is if you have a plan, if you have a plan to follow, to execute, and you can rely on that, and it's written out intelligently. So you come into the gym, I have a warm-up, I do a hop on the bike, I do some breathing stuff, I do some goblet squats, I do some tempo squats, I do my working sets. If you have this thing to follow, you could come in and you could be brain dead. And as long as you can read that, you will have a good session, or you will have as good of a session as you possibly can. So if you come into it prepared well, you come into a competition knowing that your preparation, the 12 weeks of training leading into a competition was good, your technique was good, it was consistent, you were hitting your numbers, and technique was on average pretty good, you can confidently go into the meet knowing that you have a good shot at hitting all of your attempts.
Absolutely. Concluding thoughts from me, I think one thing I want to touch on, and I'm going to have Rob finish it up, is we want to establish that Chalk It Up, because we're all from Chalk It Up and a part of this family, that we cater, the higher end athletes, the powerlifters, stuff like that, but we're also catering to anyone who wants to just better themselves, come and get a little bit of work in, whether it's a small HIIT workout or, some functional cardio or just, breathing and bracing, whatever it is, we want to cater to everyone, and we don't want to, be labeled or be seen as we are just a powerlifting gym or we are just a, we just do hit stuff or whatever it may be. We want to kind of encompass everyone so everyone feels comfortable.
Yep. Concluding thoughts from me on the mindset stuff. If you're a beginner, just get in, get started. Your motivation is going to go up and down, but come in, get training, get a little bit of guidance if you need guidance. There's nothing wrong with that. And then start to feel comfortable in the movements, and all of that confidence will go up. As for intermediates, mindset, come into the gym, give yourself a chance to have a good training session. Don't just say it's going to be shitty because you had a long day of work or this or that. Just come in, work on your technique, train, and give yourself that shot, like Edward was saying. Give yourself the shot of having a good training session and, put the hard work to it and come in and do that. Other than that,
if you wanna work on these things, we're available for coaching. We have other coaches available. We have new powerlifting classes for beginners and intermediates starting in 2 weeks. So we have the resources here. All you have to do is get started.
send a message.
Where can we find all this information? Where can we see you guys' personal profiles? Where can we...
Tugboat Ed.
So I'm on Instagram as @tugboated, VIP membership, $25 a month. but really, my Instagram is @JRAlekdan. That's primarily where I put most of my things. If you want to email me, you could just message me through Instagram.
For me, myself, best way to reach me for any training questions is on Instagram @_Coximus _COXIMUS. And as a backstory with that, my last name is Cox. So
That's why it's like that. You can find me on Instagram, The Great White Rhino, or you can just DM Chalk It Up if you have any questions about anything. You're interested in coaching, you're interested in the classes coming up, some times, some dates on that, interested in what other coach we have here. We do have a website too, info@chalkitupstrength.com. And that is episode 1. We'll see you guys next time.
and the door
Boom.
is always open too. You can always walk in.
Oh, absolutely. We take walk-ins. And we're out.